against Russia. The highlights, you won't miss a moment worth watching. Ritchie wins the draw for Canada right at the start of this one. Key game this one. Both these teams unbeaten going into it. 4 wins out of 4, 8 points each. Russia with the much better goal difference. So a draw would suit them really for the group title. It comes down to the real games of playoffs after this. And the winner of this one will play the 4th place team in the other group. And having shown you the Swedes winning, that means the Czechs await the winners of this one in the next round. The other playoff matches to be determined somewhat by the Austria-Great Britain game tomorrow. The Austrians could knock out the Germans. Russia advancing on the Canadians. Canada brings it forward through Ron Brind'Amour. Brind'Amour takes it down the right wing. He's got Pachol all over him. Luke Robitaille gets it in deep. Steve Thomas working along the boards for the Canadians. Canadians keeping it deep where they want it. The Russians advance now through Yushkevich, although he ends up giving the puck away to Dulles, and Dulles drops it off. This is Robitaille. The LA King gets it forward down the left wing and goes after it himself. Daryl Sidor helped it along its way, but the Russians mop up deep in their own zone. No goals yet. These two don't exactly get on. Yushkevich goes for a well-earned break. Stalenkov in goal for the Russians. Yashin wins that draw for them. Alexei Yashin now at Ottawa. But the Canadians have it and bring it out of their zone. Steve Duchesne gets it in deep. Pat Verbeek and Smirnov tie off. Pat Verbeek, pig farmer when he isn't playing ice hockey. Well, that was floating around a little bit. Stalenkov kept a beady eye on it all the way in though. Still 0-0. Joe Sakic and Pat Verbeek out there for Canada. 3 minutes gone first period. Still 0-0. The Canadians trying to get it forward, but it's poke checked by the Russians deep in their territory, and the Canadians have to regroup and circle and go back, and it's not very positive at the moment. Verbeek and Sakic getting in each other's way. Canadians try again. This is Bobby Dulles. Into the skates of Joe Sakic. Fortunately, the Russians step off him. That was a good effort from Steve Thomas on the feed from Sakic. Amazingly, the Russians stepped back from Sakic when he almost stood on the puck and let him have another go at it, and that gave him the time to forehand, backhand, and then pass to Steve Thomas, and he shot it straight at Stalenkov. Still 0-0. New York Islanders is where Steve Thomas plies his trade week in, week out. This is something different altogether. One of 5 games played in the World Championships in Italy today. Robitaille and Brind'Amour tie their man up, but the Russians have the puck deep in Canadian territory. Steve Thomas ends up headbutting his own netminder there. Brind'Amour gets it forward though, and the Canadians get a second bite at this one as well. Steve Thomas with another shot. Oh, and Luke Robitaille had so much time, swept it high, but Stalenkov was equal to it, and he's still working away Stalenkov, and finally he covers up and everyone piles in. Richardson in the thick of things as well as Robitaille, and Stalenkov certainly the star of the first 4 minutes of this one. Russia 0, Canada 0. Richardson and Robitaille go for a break. Big shot coming in from defenseman Rob Blake of LA. Favourite player of many hockey fans in Europe, Rob Blake. And Stalenkov must have felt he was on his own for a while there, but he did a job. Penalty against Rob Brindamore for cross-checking. Gives the Russians a power play opportunity. Zhitnik. Again, out to the left wing. Emelan, back to Zhitnik. Zhitnik with the blast off the backboards. That was Biakin in deep. 10 minutes gone. 5-on-3 power play. Zhitnik with the blast. Canadians have killed one of those penalties, I'm sure. They take the whistle, or try to take the whistle. The Russians dig it out. Zhitnik again, heavily involved. Emelan, back to Zhitnik. Zhitnik with the blast, that's deflected wide. Emelan collects it, feeds the front. The Canadians get a chance to clear, and do so. And applause from the crowd as the Canadians get bodies back onto the ice. Still 0-0. Still a power play to the Russians. This time only a one-man advantage. Dolos riding shotgun, managed to keep his man tied up, and the Canadians break. Nelson Emerson, one of the fastest skaters in the World Championships, gets it deep. Here come the Russians. Still 0-0. 10.5 minutes gone, 20 seconds to go on the penalty, and that's cleaned down the ice. Thomas forechecking. We just see off the last few seconds of the penalty. And that's a two-man advantage the Russians have had. They haven't turned it into a goal. Back to full strength, the Canadians, still 0-0. The Russians trying to get something going deep in their own zone, but Robitaille's in there forechecking. This is Robitaille on the boards. Ulanov trying to clear. Smirnov working the boards as well. Canada stringing some nice passing together. Brindamore finds Yves Racine, and he can't make anything happen for the Canadians, and here comes Kamensky, the big right wing, plays it across the crease. Yashin can't latch onto it. The Russians weren't sure whether to play that one or whether they'd be offside, so they left it alone. Now they've got the puck anyway, deep in their own zone. Oh, it's bouncing though, the Russians haven't cleared it yet. Over 12 minutes gone, still 0-0, a tight game. We expected this one to be a low-scoring affair. Kamensky at the far post. Well, the Canadians paying the price there for not clearing. Kamensky, the scorer. That's his 5th goal of the tournament. He's a big player, strong player. Kovalenko goes deep, feeds the front. Although Fedulov goes down, he still manages to poke it through the crease area to Kamensky, and Kamensky turns it in behind Richardson and Blake. And of course, Bill Ranford. So we're still in the first period, the end of it now. Sakic to try and win the draw for the Canadians. The Russians still with their noses in front. 1-0 the score, Kamensky the scorer. Last minute then, here comes Sakic. Sakic from Quebec, dumps it in, Brindamore feeds it round. This is Racine. Racine keeps it deep. Jeff Sanderson fails to connect. This is Racine. All he can do is dump it in the corner. Sakic on the backhand. That's blocked. The Russians get it out. The Russians just want to go in, a goal to the front, goal to the good, two-line pass against the Canadians. Racine collecting it beyond the red line. The pass came from behind the blue line. You can't pass it over two lines. The player has to follow the puck over the second line. Same as the offside rule. The puck must go into the attack zone first. Still 1-0 to the Russians then. Big Kamensky plays for Quebec. 28 years old, 6'2", 198 pounds. Hits like a train. Scores sweet goals as well. Stalenkov covers up just to be absolutely sure. The Russians quite happily playing down the last few seconds of this first minute of action, because they want to go in a goal to the good. The Czechs await the winners of this one. The winners of this one will be crowned Group A champions. The Czechs have finished 4th in the other group. And that should just about see off the rest of this period. The Russians bring it in deep, and in fact they get a shot on goal and could have stretched it through Kovalenko. Really is amazing how quickly they can get from one end to the other. Well, they have a good hard look at each other, Thomas and Kovalenko. That's the goal scorer. Kamensky skating to the dressing room. This was Kovalenko skating straight at Bill Ranford. Richardson took him, and on a cannon he took out Ranford's legs as well. End of the first though. The Russians still with their noses in front, 1-0. Second period highlights to come. 5 games played, as I say, in the World Championships today. Any action worth watching you've seen with us here today on Eurosport. The Russians now in the predominantly red strip. Right to left, Kamensky, the goal scorer, trying to force his way past Richardson. I think we could have a penalty or not. No. Referee thought about it. Canada trying to break out. They want to try and get the next goal. They don't want a 2-goal fight back. They want to try and get on level terms. Well, the Russians from deep. Ranford picks them off. That's like picking cherries. But it did facilitate a line change. Some fresh legs on the ice for the Russians. It was Bezuk-Ladnikov that went down. Oh, he fans on the shot. Steve Thomas. Robitaille feeds the point man. Robitaille tries it himself. Now a backhand through the crease. Well, the whistle's gone. Is the goal off its moorings, or are we having a penalty? This is Robitaille's backhand into the danger zone. Thomas goes down under the attentions of Bezuk-Ladnikov. Kelly Buchberger out there for a rare shift in this one for the Canadians. The Russians just hanging on to the puck. They'll take the full 2 minutes on a power play. They don't mind, they want to set it up properly. Good quality shots or no shots at all. Beautiful skating. Penalty's been killed by the Canadians though. Full strength then, still 1-0 to Russia. Bezuk-Ladnikov dumps it in, the Canadians try and force it back out, it's in neutral ice. The Russians get it forward. They'd like to stretch that lead of theirs, second period. It's picked off Rob Blake. Oh, well, I don't know whether it would have counted, whether it was a stick or a skate from Korea. Yakin gets it forward. Smirnov dumps it. Siplanov. Oh, he gets it across. No, he doesn't to Smirnov, and the shot goes wide. Tries to do it himself. When perhaps Smirnov was better positioned on the left wing. Well, just to the left. There again, he was a defenseman. Brendan Shanahan. Quiet game so far for him, but look at the way he takes that hit. I can't believe he won't have a part to play in it. That was Nikolishin working his way through. It's still 1-0 to the Russians. And the referee thought about a penalty there. Did you see the whistle go in his mouth and come back out? Buchberger, Kelly Buchberger from Philly. It's the Russians that get it away from the boards though. Oh, big save. Oh, and look at that diving soccer type save from Ranford. Ranford's having a good game. Racine and Ritchie in the thick of things. Big pad save, ice hockey style, but that reminded people of a soccer player. Jason Arnott wins the draw. This is Sakic. Penalty to the Russians now, late in the second. Canada with a man advantage to try and get back into this one and tie things up. Russians still lead it by one. Canada feed the front. Brendan Shanahan's in there. This is Shanahan. Feeds the right side. That was Korea, the youngster who'll be a big player in the NHL. Shanahan working the point, working the defense line on the power play. He's been a big player, great player in the NHL. Brendan Shanahan won the sharpshooter award at the NHL All-Star game this year in the skills competition. It's been Ray Bork's personal possession for a while, that award. But this year, Bork's trigger finger wasn't working, and Shanahan hit all 5 breakable targets in as many shots. And he's the sharpshooter this year, the most accurate shooter award. Brendan Shanahan for the St. Louis Blues. Well, 1 minute and 20 to go on the power play to Canada. And these teams do not get on. I don't think you'll see the gloves get dropped, because that doesn't tend to happen in World Championships, but they're going to eyeball each other. Duchesne there, having a good look at Biakin. They know each other in the NHL, of course. It's still 1-0 to the Russians, although the Canadians will start the second period with a man advantage on the power play. But Kamensky's goal from the first period still separates the sides, and the winners, remember, will take on Czechoslovakia in the playoffs. After 2 periods, it's Russia 1, the Canadians 0. Players on show at the World Championships. And this is third period action from today's game between Russia and the Canadians. The Canadians a goal to the bad. Kamensky the scorer in the first period. But the Canadians keeping it tight, and it's been a close fought contest all the way through. No love lost between these two teams. We've got the third period highlights for you now right here on Eurosport. The Russians get a chance to clear their zones, but the Robitaille-Richardson line combination working well. Bobby Dollars plays it rink wide. Daryl Sidor gets it back forward. This is Verbeek, Pat Verbeek. Intended pass across the crease is picked off, but the Canadians have it again. The Russians very good at killing penalties. This is Verbeek. Neat backhand to Joe Sakic. And that's the goal from Sanderson that the Canadians have been looking for. Jeff Sanderson, the goal scorer, that makes it one apiece. And the Canadians right back into it. Sakic working well on the left wing. Drops it off. One-time pass on. Sanderson finishes. Well, that was a bit of a mistake for the keeper. No wonder he looks up at our eye in the sky camera. He wouldn't be happy with the way he dealt with that one. He'd been playing well. Stalenkov. But Smirnov goes to the box now at the 12-minute mark. And Ramford got enough on that to divert it. So it's a power play opportunity for the Canadians. And this is a 2-on-1 break, but he can't get the pass across. It hits the side of the goal, and now Fedulov has the chance to clear it. The Russians dangerous, short-handed. Well, that's dumped into the corner, and Correa, the youngster, goes after it himself. Such a big hit at the World Championships. Sorry, at the Olympics. Well, perhaps we won't talk about penalty shots. Shanahan. Oh, across the crease and turned in by Joe Sakic. Shanahan getting involved as we thought he might. The Canadians take the lead. Duchesne lobbed it forward. Correa went in hard. Shanahan fed the crease. Goes right across to the far side. Paul Correa misses the opportunity to score. Joe Sakic doesn't. 2-1 Canada. Well, it's time out now for the Russians. Last chance to try and get back into this one. A draw would do them. They'd win the group if they can get an equalising goal. Blake and Richardson, first line defensive partnership for the Canadians. They've been doing a job. And Canada have stuck to the task. The Russians pulling Stalenkov, going with the 6 skaters. And the Canadians wanting to hang on. They lead it by 2 thanks to Sanderson and Sakic. The Russians trying to force something in the last 30 seconds. It's in neutral ice. The Russians have it. Beautiful skating. But it's robbed. Empty net waits. Sakic hits it. 2 goals for Sakic. From the Quebec Nordiques, Joe Sakic gets 2 goals in this one. And the keeper will go back now. That's a 3-1 final scoreline. A come-from-behind victory for the Canadians. 5 games on Eurosport today. Sakic hits the empty net. We've seen France beat Norway 4 goals to 1. The Italians crushed the Germans 3-1. This one, Canada 3, Russia 1. The Finland team saw the Americans score first and last, but they hit 7 in between. And Sweden have beaten the Czechs by 4 goals to 1. Top ice hockey action from the World Championships. I hope you've enjoyed it throughout the day on Eurosport with our live coverage of 3 games and the highlight packages. So this one is finished with a 3-1 victory for the Canadians. They go through to the playoffs where they'll meet the 4th place team from the other group, and that's Czechoslovakia. Hope you've enjoyed the hockey. Good night.
Skoda, the